Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Record of Sword Forged Worlds, the unofficial Sword World podcast. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my brothers here in the temple. We have the man who is but a letter, good brother A.
Hello, everybody.
Oh. And the man losing arguments with himself, good brother Hydra.
Disclaimer, there may be honking noises in the background. You have been warned.
Oh. Well, we know brother A is not Canadian because it's not brother Eh.
I mean, if he's not willing to commit war crimes, then probably best he doesn't become one anyway.
I mean, it's not a war crime the first time.
That is indeed the general the way of going about this.
And I have honorary status because of my association with Pig's Eye. If you don't know, look it up. But speaking of, last time around we delved into a couple of modules that can be a bit divisive, but I need to do some house cleaning first. Now, first, that whole exploring a grid thing that I thought wasn't done for a while until Vice City, not the case. Several of the campaigns we will get to in the future do this. Oh. There were a couple other things I need to correct my record on. Simplified combat didn't show up until Mistgrave, and then was further canonized with the revised versions of the core rulebooks. But I know that those two modules we covered, I'd say they're a bit divisive, but it feels like Mist Castle's the one that's more divisive, in my experience, compared to Fairy Garden. Though both of them have their issues. We already talked about that when we talked about the whole puzzle thing. But that was one thing I wanted to clear up. I'm trying to avoid as many gaps as possible because, well, again, a big reason I started this podcast is I felt that a lot of other people's coverage of Sword World was woefully inadequate. Or covering it as a side thing. Which I didn't want to do. But since we delved in the campaign, it's back to supplements. In this case, the Barbarous Tales, which is why I called this episode the first book of Ignis. Because for those who need a bit of a refresher, remember that the humanoid races are largely represented by the gods of the first sword. The second sword is Ignis, and has been referred to as the Sword of Freedom, and is the sword that elevated several Barbarous into godhood. Freedom is a double-edged sword. Because that freedom in the Barbarous tends to lead more into only the strong survive kind of thing. But I think it'd be very tempting for some people to look at the Barbarous as the villain race, when in reality I mentioned this early on in the podcast. The Barbarous are more closer to the Horde in Warcraft.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
In the sense that yes, there is a bit more of a combative focus and a bit more Klingon promotion, shall we say? But it's one of those things where it's a little bit muddied. You can't say, oh, all the Barbarous are evil. you can say that some of them are more assholish than others, and of course, there's the Yoma, but everybody picks on the Yoma. Is that there is a very pecking order kind of thing, something that I'm pretty sure Popo would be proud of. But the first parts of this first book that covers the Barbarous exclusively, the Barbarous Tales. Which, this isn't a very big book, it's only 185 pages. But this is where we first get Barbarous PCs. And the first of them they go into are the Drakes. Drakes tend to be on the upper side of the food chain when it comes to Barbarous. And also have the ability to take on a humanoid form as well as a dragon form. Most Drakes will have a magic sword that grows with them. Those that don't have it or have it broken tend to be referred to as broken Drakes, and cannot take on their transformed state unless they use sword crystals. Also, it's worth noting that you think that they would do fire breath. No, their breath is called a breath of light. So think less of a traditional dragon and think more of Bahamut.
That does make sense. Like crystals do have a strong association with light and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of a filling into what the symbolism they're going with.
Yeah. So Drakes do have dark vision. They also have limited dragonification. In order to do the transformation, you have to absorb a number of sword crystals equal to your adventurer level. The forehead horns elongate, the face becomes that of a dragon, their wings grow large, and their skin becomes covered in scales, much like in the image. So it's not like they're transforming into a full-size dragon, at least not yet. After doing that, they can't return to their original form for 1 hour. And even if they choose not to transform back, they will be forced back after a day. Now, sword crystals were originally meant as a means of enhancing swords of protection. And the thing with sword crystals is you're not buying them with Gamel. You can only get one by spending reputation. And each one that you use reduces total reputation as well. So it's not like you're going to be doing dragon form all that much.
You're racing the hole. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like popping your ult in hero shooters or in MOBAs.
Yeah. It is also worth noting that every barbarous race has a weakness. Much like the way the monster setup has a specific weakness. You can do a weakness check to hide it, but it is something you have to be aware of. The weakness check just makes it harder for enemies to spot it, especially enemies that have sage abilities. In the case of a Drake, they're weak to magic damage. But also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that every Barbarous has some level of soul scars. Drakes have 3. Meaning if they try and enter an area that has a sword of protection, they will feel sharp pain. The thing about swords of protection is that if you have a soul scar, you are going to be feeling pain. The more soul scars you have, the more painful it is.
Aren't you just like one away from a go ahead and go in full monster at that point?
Well, if you're visibly shown to be in that kind of pain, within a settlement, the humanities around you are going to know you're a barbarous. But when it comes to the Breath of Light ability, which is one of the main reasons you'd want to activate. Well, there's a few reasons why you'd want to activate limited dragonification, but Breath of Light is one of them. The other major one is being able to fly. It's just at the same speed as your movement speed. The check for it is your vitality modifier plus your adventure level. It is tested against fortitude. If they pass fortitude, then it does half. It is a shot area with a range of 30 meters. It targets one character and does power 20 plus adventure level plus vitality mod in energy type magic damage.
So it uses hyper beam.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a lot of damage.
Yeah, the target uses their fortitude to see if they can, survive it. If they get hit, if they pass the thing, then they only take half damage. But let me make sure. Now, it can be used as a major action. And in fact, that's the only way you can use it. So you can only move with a normal or limited move. And you can't do it in consecutive rounds.
Makes sense.
If you have guided magic, you can fire into melee without misfire. But then there's Dark Trolls. Dark Trolls are big guys who love to kick ass. Trolls like to do self-improvement. Dark Trolls are the ones who run the show when it comes to trolls. Think of it as the difference between a orc in Warhammer and a black orc.
Yeah, all right.
But the thing is, trolls only respect strength. If you manage to match their strength or beat them, they will respect you. But they don't. But there isn't the kill the weak, because their idea is weakness can become stronger over time. Now, of course, somebody who's weak pulling some sort of insolence will get taken out just as easy as anyone else. Squish. Especially since Dark Trolls are about 3 meters tall.
Oh lord!
And all of that is pure muscle.
So in actual measurements, they're about 9'10".
Again, 9'10" of pure muscle.
Mm-hmm. They tend to be adults at age 15. Reach their physical peak at 200. Live up to 300 years, but I feel like I should say that in quotes. If only because live to 300 years when they tend to be mercenaries I have a feeling there are very few dark trolls who die of old age.
I mean,
And
yeah,
those
like
that
let's
do,
be.
and those that do have to be badasses.
It's kind of like how nobody knows what the full life expectancy of nightmares are, because death via occupational hazards tends to be what takes them out more often than old age. But
It's kind of like Space Marines as well. Sure, they could live for a long ass time, but more often than not, they're pretty much just going to die before they start developing gray hair. I think Dante's the only exception to that.
Yep. But dark trolls do, of course, have dark vision. They also have weakened. They take a penalty to accuracy and evasion while under sunlight. So I don't think they'd want to pick a fight with a priest of Titan. And they automatically have 1-2 defense, even if they're not wearing armor. Much like Drakes, though, they are weak to magic damage. Unlike Drakes, they have 4 soul scars instead of 3. And because of how damn big they are, they're not going to be able to blend in a humanoid settlement as easy. It is kind of hard to blend when you have very blackened skin and are 9 feet tall.
Considering that one of their backgrounds is a spy, yeah, good luck with that.
That's if you roll like a 10 or a 12 on a d6.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but spy, but starting class would be scout.
Yeah. But then we have the Lamia, who I know a lot of people would look at the Lamia and say wood, but Lamias live on human blood, specifically young humans.
Well, I got nothing to worry about.
I can fix her, Monk. I can fix her.
But they also tend to be the less one of the races that's less gung ho about fighting humanoids. I think it's more because if they wipe out humanoids, then they're wiping out their food stock.
Most likely.
AKA the vampire dilemma.
Mm-hmm. But Lamias also have dark vision. I'm pretty sure almost all of the barbarous races have dark vision. They get bite and tail wrestling weapons regardless of whether or not they picked grappler. When using bite, they can drain blood. When that's done, the damage is reduced by 6, and you heal HP equal to whatever damage is left.
That's some nice sustainability right there.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the downside of it is that bite isn't going to do all that much damage compared to any weapons or spells you could be using, unless you spend time in grappler.
It does heal you, though.
Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure there's been a few Lamia grappler builds. Lamias are more often casters than they are fighters. But they can also change into a specific humanoid race or turn back into their original form. When transformed, they take a -1 to accuracy, evasion, fortitude, willpower, and 5 to their maximum HP and MP. Also, the bite and tail weapons get lost. And they can only be in that form cumulatively for 18 hours a day. So I wouldn't be surprised if most Lamia take on if they're operating in a place where being all natural isn't a good idea, they would take that form during the daytime and let things hang out at night. But unlike Dark Trolls and Drakes, they're not weak to magic damage, they're weak to earth damage. So if you have to pick a fight with them, bring a fairy tamer with you. But owing to that cooperative nature, Lamias only start with 2 soul scars. So they can be. It's not gonna be the most comfortable, but they can be in humanoid settlements without too much issue if they play things right. And that's assuming you're in a settlement that has a sort of protection. I also like that they do give a bit of suggestion on the limits of the transformation ability. That most of the time it's similar to your true form, just without the snake body.
I mean, you already have like half of a human's body, so why not to just make the other half change a bit?
Mm-hmm. But then we have lycanthropes, which are the more extreme version of what you see with, say, the lycanth. Which the lycanth is a humanoid race, lycanthropes aren't. A lycanthrope is any were form you've ever seen. That's a lycan. Apparently, they were once human, though they were kidnapped by Barbarous and turned using certain rituals, which have expended their lifespan, since lycanthropes can live up to 150 years. But they do have dark vision. They also have Power of the Beastmen, where on full moons they get +1 to accuracy and evasion, but in the sun they take a penalty to accuracy and evasion. They can also turn their upper half into their beast form, or revert back. When they do that, they can use Bite as a wrestling weapon, and their defense goes up by their adventure level when attacked with normal weapons. Essentially, weapons that aren't magic or silver.
I mean, free defense just by leveling up, that's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They also have a unique thing when it comes to their ability scores, where after rolling the dice, you add 6 points to either A, B, or C. Which I think is meant to reflect the fact that even if you look at most lycans in fiction, even in their normal form, they are a bit more brick shithouse compared to a normal human. And obviously, they are going to be weak to silvered weapons. And much like Lamias, lycanthropes only have 2 soul scars.
All that power for only 2 soul scars, that's quite the bargain.
Yep. And I know a lot of people would think, oh, they're werewolves. They can be, but some of the examples that are given in the book are werewolf, werebear, weretiger, and wererat.
For all we know, we could also have werebadgers.
Mm-hmm. I would also say were-jaguars, but I don't want to give unfortunate flashbacks to Hexen 2.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I would just say anybody who has played Bloody Roar, just here's your guy.
Yeah.
There is one. There is one. There is one. There is one particular character in mind who I'm certain nobody would want to from Bloody Roar. I'm pretty sure nobody would want to try and have that as their as their form.
I mean, I did recently discover that Bloody Roar 2 is gonna recompilation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think you'd have to stretch things to go with an equivalent of Xi'an. But of course, then we have the goodest boys, kobolds.
I mean, look at them.
Indeed, they are quite adorable.
It is somewhat amusing that in early D&D, kobolds were described as lizardmen with dog faces. And somehow through wizardry and subsequent iterations, the dog part of it's funny how the kobold evolved compared to in Japan compared to the States. Now you look at kobolds in a lot of stateside TTRPGs and video games, and they're basically dragon posers. Versus Japan went with the whole took the dog face part of things and just went, okay, they're dog folk. I don't know when that shift happened, but it did. And it is somewhat amusing that it did happen. But kobolds are not very tall. They are 1.2 meters. So about 311, which would make them the size of your average VTuber.
And 1.2 meters, that's about just shy of 4 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, at my size, the short jokes are inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
I did go to a convention with a boombox that was playing short people on loop.
I definitely wouldn't mind seeing that somewhere on TikTok or YouTube or wherever.
Those things didn't exist at the time. Oh. This was the same convention where I trolled previously with the trash can. But a lot of kobolds, because they don't have much in the way of soul scars. They only have one of them, and they tend to be on the low end of the totem pole. It's not uncommon for kobolds to live among humanoids.
I mean, what if it's like theirs? Of course, people would want to adopt them.
They're also very good chefs. They don't live very long. They reach adulthood at 5 years and tend to live up to 30 years. Oh. One of the interesting things with them is in any adventurer class, they are always capped at 5th. Now, the work skills that you see later on in things like the Infinite Ateliers, Cardiac Carnival, and much more codified in 2.5 with Raxia Life, as well as some of the work skills we saw previously. Those do not count, so they can take as many work skills as they want. It's only the adventurer classes that they have capped at 5. There's also the disregard thing where once per combat they can ask the GM to divert a attack or unique skill to another character. To one that's a viable target.
Though no redirector and arrow to an enemy NPC.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to work skills, at character creation they can take up to 15 levels worth of work skills. Though a single one is capped at 5. But the fact that they have that at their disposal can be very useful. And, of course, they are weak to magic damage.
That's a lot of magic weaknesses.
Now, of course, the weakness has to be exposed first. But there are a few exceptions to disregard that they do bring up. One of them being, if you're attacked in melee and there's no other allies available, you're probably not going to get disregard. If you're attacked because you use taunting strike, or if it's an AoE effect. So disregard might give you a one-off chance to not get hit. It's probably not going to be enjoyed by some of the other party members who do get hit.
I mean, why would you even put something that bloody tiny and cute in the front lines anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people want to be in the front lines. I end up thinking of the Mulkey brothers, who were a couple of jobbers in the Carolinas. No, it wasn't the Carolinas, it was in Georgia. And they liked getting their ass kicked.
I mean, at that point, that's just a self-inflicted pain.
Yeah, they like taking the roughest bumps possible. I think because of the willingness to do those, that's how they kept getting hired. That and Georgia at the time had awful job guys. You had some guys who had the look but couldn't work. You had some people who didn't have the look and couldn't work. Not everybody in the Georgia territory who was that bad, but there were some bad ones. I think that, and because of when I was watching when I was watching old tapes, I would see some of them, and they were not good. You have to have a certain appreciation for the dumb side of wrestling to enjoy it. Probably especially that one infamous one where the finish was supposed to be doing the crane kick from the Karate Kid, and he just could not get it to work. Mostly because the job guy would not just stand there.
I mean, like, let's be fair. Is the current kick really that good of a martial arts move when you think about it?
I could see people arguing both ways.
Right?
But now in the core books, there was a history table for humanoid PCs, and we have something like that for Barbarous, as well as a few guidelines for playing. Because while you could have a party that's a mixture of humanoid and Barbarous, it is going to create some awkward moments. And you do have... I do like the reputation thing, where the more reputation you build, the more accepted you might be. Of course, if you manage to get to like 3,000 reputation, then you're no longer Barbarous.
That's a lot of reputation you need to farm, though.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're accepted in a whole region, and as we saw when we covered Natural History of Phaedon, a region can encompass a lot of different nations. But having more reputation among humanoids might result in more likelihood that Barbarous will treat you as a traitor. But I mentioned earlier that there is a unique weakness check. This is a check that you do that's basically your adventure level plus your intelligence mod. And it is something you'd have to check. It's basically your way of protecting your weakness so that the enemy doesn't see it. The target number that you'd have to beat is it depends on whether or not the enemy side has someone with Sage, then just use Sage plus Intelligence as the value. Someone who has Magic, in which case you use Magic Power as standard value. If there's anything else than that, then they can't spot your weakness, and the weakness check is successful. It is still a contested roll. But if you fail this contested roll, then your weak point is active. And of course, there are some expanded abilities for each of the Barbarous that's mentioned. Like for Drake, at 6th level, your Breath of Light has a range of 50 meters and is now power 30 as a baseline. At 11th level, Breath of Light becomes Radiant Breath and has an AoE of 6 meters, 20 targets, power 40 plus adventure level. Basically, it stops being a shot and becomes an AoE effect. And
I'm reminded of a very old meme.
Mm-hmm. But the minimum power is 40. And you can selectively target if you have magic control and condense it to a single target effect if you have magic convergence. But I think you can see even more so why I said that the dragon side of Drakes is more akin to Bahamut than a standard fire-breathing lizard.
Yeah.
Because, well, let's be honest, Radiant Breath is Mega Flare in all but name.
Or Hyper Beam, but different franchise.
Mm-hmm. Oh, with trolls at 6th level, they get limited regen. So once a day as a major action, they can heal HP equal to 5 times their adventurer level. And at 11th level, using limited regeneration is now a minor action. So not only are they tough as hell, they're trolls, so this is where they start regenerating. Just as we learned from a certain guy in Warhammer Fantasy, don't try eating troll meat.
Oh.
Well, unless
No,
it's a very unless it's very well done.
If you've played Total Warhammer or you're familiar with the Warden and the Pouch, you probably know exactly where I'm going with that, about why that one goblin who ate some troll meat is. I have to double check if he was I think he was a goblin who ate some troll meat is so damn fat. Because the problem is, trolls regenerate. Even the meat regenerates. And it's been in his stomach for years.
I mean, hey, it's like at least you don't have to worry about ever eating again. Downside is good luck dieting.
He basically has to keep eating to keep it in check so it doesn't, grow out of his stomach. But for Lamia, at 6th level, you don't take the -6 penalty when using Drained Blood. And at 11th level, once per day, you can drain MP instead of HP when using Drained Blood. For Lycanthropes, at 6th level, they only need a minor action to change shape instead of a major action. And at 11th level, when they transform, they get +1 to accuracy and evasion at night, even if it's not a full moon. Kobolds don't get any enhancements when they level up.
They're good boys. Yeah. And they can't even go beyond level 5 anyway.
Mm-hmm. But in the second part, when talking about monsters, there was a weird thing. There was a weird thing going on with one of the boxes. But it is written from the perspective of a researcher named Alistair Dorje, who is basically doing a natural history regarding monsters. And the history of the different races, going into the types of Barbarous, with the largest among them is Yoma, who are on the bottom end of the food chain. Yoma is where you have kobolds, goblins, redcaps, and boggarts. A big reason why they're the most numerous is it's not uncommon for twins and triplets to be born, and in some cases, quints. And they tend to reach adulthood within 5 years.
So what's the attrition rate then, if they haven't been exactly outnumbered to everyone to a degree?
The fact that compared to a lot of the other Barbarous who actually do make the bigger decisions, they're not very strong. Their strength is in strength in numbers, but the
collective strength isn't there compared to the higher tiers.
They also have the Skaven problem.
Nah. That actually makes more sense.
Skaven, never heard of them. They don't exist.
You know how it is. The biggest threat to a Skaven's plan is another Skaven.
Yes.
Unless you're Tranquil, then you are your own biggest threat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure inevitably somebody's going to make a version of the Thankful meme of, "You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are." Because that's more or less what happened with him, with Gotrek and Felix. Thankful hates those two, and they're like, "Who the fuck are you?"
You're just another talking rat.
Mm-mm.
And we
They all look the same to me.
keep screwing up your rat ogre.
Oh yeah, there's that whole thing of him trying to make a big ass rat ogre to try and pick a fight with Gotrek. Which that's just a waste of money and resources.
I mean, especially considering that you got what was his name, Commander today, as therefore on your beck and call.
I'm saying that because anything that picks a fight with Gotrek tends to die horribly.
You can't exactly let the guy die, otherwise, how else is GW going to make money for their books?
Well, the big thing is that you're supposed to die fighting at your best. The problem is he's absolute shit at dying. But
And it's not like GW would ever let him die, otherwise, oh fuck, what are we going to do now?
But regardless, the up the totem pole, you have you have things like the trolls and centaurs. These are what's known as the warrior clans. They have the might makes right attitude. Although I'd say centaurs are a little bit less aggressive than trolls. But they live and die on fighting, so it's hard for them to live among humanoids because of the fact that there's that instinct to fight.
And by centaurs, we mean like the classical humanoid top, but the horse-bodied archetype, not the Uma Musume kind.
Mm-mm. But the thing is that they do have their own sense of internal honor, which is, and they will go along with people if they think they can get a fight out of it, and once the fight's done, they'll go looking for another fight. And there are a fair amount of barbarous that can take on humanoid appearance. One of the more famous ones is ogres. On the other hand, some of them will do the whole take human appearances to trap prey. But the ruling class of them, that's where you get to things like drakes, basilisks, and nosferatus. But even that's just a small tip of the iceberg with them. And there's similar discussions when it comes to the types of undead, the types of plants and animals, the types of constructs. And the weirdness of the ghasts. Things like mythical beasts, which there is a implication that mythical beasts were created to be the perfect wielder of the swords of Genesis. Problem is, their natural abilities were so good. There was the question of why would they even need a sword?
Yeah.
But contrary to popular belief, they don't need. A lot of them don't need to eat or drink. They just absorb the mana in the atmosphere.
I mean, that's a rather efficient way how to eat.
Kind of reminds me of whales eating krill.
But in the case of fairies, I do like that there is that the reason you don't see fairy tamers or for instance using metal armor is because fairies don't like artificial things. So wearing metal weakens fairy magic. But as far as why runefolk can't see fairies, it's theorized it's because runefolks don't have souls. But after that, there is a bit of a more this is where they started to do a codified description of monster stats. Some of them were the numerical stats were not changed, but this more had to do with the types of skills. Whether it be passive, whether it be ones that use a major or minor action, whether it be ones that are declared, which kind of the way you declare the use of combat feats. Whether it's a conditional one or a choice conditional one, i.e. conditional that you can choose to activate. A lot of the symbols for these would change when 2.5 came along, but this is where you have an early form of this, as well as things like the bonding and debonding rules because of tangling. And there's quite a few Barbarous and other monsters that are in this. Some of them are reprints from the core books, and some of them are brand spanking new. The whole reprinting from the core book, that is something you're going to see a lot in 2.0, and to a certain extent 2.5, but nowhere near as much. And I already mentioned Basilisk, which will become a PC class, or not PC class, PC race, but not yet. Something I do find amusing is when it comes to the ranking of certain Barbarous, there is a kind of recurring theme. For example, Drakes have their ranks named after different types of noble titles. Count, Viscount, etc. Versus Basilisks, which have their particular ranks named after types of precious stones. Like the main baddie and the main bad in Mist Castle is a Jade Basilisk, and his particular petrification turns people into jade statues instead of just regular stone. And this is kind of a recurring thing throughout the different basilisks. It's a small touch, but it's a interesting one nonetheless. And yeah, a lot of the Barbarous are going to have humanoid form and monster form. But I am doing a lot of skimming because going through each individual monster would kind of be pointless. But there's quite a bit of them. In fact, the monster section goes from let me rephrase that. Where we actually get monster stats proper goes from page 32 all the way to page 162.
1 to 128 pages. That's a lot. That's over half of the supplement.
Oh yeah. But in the third part, the last part that gets 20 or so pages to itself, they introduced situation combat. And this is meant to be a companion to advanced combat rules. It is meant to be built around specific combat situations and consists of the battlefield map, the enemies, and objective and failure conditions. So I can see why this is meant to go alongside advanced combat, which we haven't gotten to yet, but we will in due time. And in fact, let me go back and see the timeline. Because I specifically want to see when the so it is somewhat that whole thing about it being a companion for advanced combat. That was a note. That was a translator note. It wasn't it wasn't there originally, which would make sense because let's see. When did Mistgrave come out? That wouldn't be until 2013. Cardia Grace, which we will get to later, would be in 2012. It is kind of funny that both Barbarous Tales, Wizard's Tome, and Cardia Grace all come out in August of their respective years. That ended. It's also amusing that the time frame between Fairy Garden and Barbarous Tales is only about 5 months. Fairy Garden came out in March 2010. Barbarous Tales came out in August. But one of the things that's introduced is the monster action decision table, which you could use as a soft AI if you wanted to do solo runs. And they do give a few example situations. So you could kind of look at these as not necessarily full-on scenarios, but a staging encounter that you could slot in almost any campaign. Especially with the sense that if you look at the distribution tables in these sample situations, you can see that there's a sliding potential enemy party composition based on how many PCs are there. It operating under the idea that you have 1 to 5 PCs. But I do like that the maps are pretty simple, so you could take a big piece of paper and just sketch it out without having to go into too much detail.
That is definitely a very nice thing. It definitely makes it very home friendly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, the A, B, C, D, E, F that we have there it's also a nice way of saying this is where particular monsters should be distributed. But doing this sort of situational affair, I'd say it's almost akin to an instance in an MMO. Not a raid. It's not that kind of scale, but like those instances you see in, say, Final Fantasy XIV. where it's one dungeon run that you could probably get through in about, say, less than 15 minutes. And actually, 15 minutes might be generous for some of the early ones. It's not like, say, a raid where you're going to need to have a dozen or so people, and it's going to be a multi-hour job.
I mean, that's just how the nature of raids. It's supposed to last like an entire evening.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Probably less if you're dealing with those raids that decide to put too many beginners traps in there. Hi, WoW. How you doing? You and your push towards world first rating. Like, I got nothing against the world first crowd, but they're also the 0.001%.
Yeah.
Oh. But I suppose another parallel I could make is the way combat works in a tactics RPG. Where you have the whole specificity of placement and a starting position for that the PCs are huddled in on. But I also like that it's something that has a bit of a sliding difficulty, where the number of PCs and possibly the level of the PCs can determine how high on the difficulty scale you want to go. And I know it'd be tempting to say that these need specific ranges, but that's not really something that Sword World is concerned with. Not in the way you'd look at specific ranges in a war game. It's a semi-loose affair, which we talked about when we talked about advanced combat. And they do give a few examples on how these situation combat things can be applied, which I do very much like.
Always nice to have examples.
Mm-hmm. And of course, in the back end, we have a whole setup of the monster list by adventure level, or just not by adventure level, by level, because monster level vastly goes beyond what adventure level can go. And after all, an Elder Dragon is level 25.
I mean, like, let's be frank, today, an Elder Dragon, of course, is going to be stupidly powerful.
You know, when those things show up in Monster Hunter, that's a end of campaign encounter.
Yeah. Especially whenever, especially whenever you're not ready for it.
Well, if you end up jumping in on the thing without being prepared, well, prepare thine anus.
Mm.
But with that said, I know this was a bit of a lighter one. And Flame says, would the Lamia? I mean, nothing. No. You're not walking away from that. State your case.
Well, I'm probably the only guy here besides you, Mildred, that I wouldn't Delamia.
Two things. One, you can't eat anything bigger than your head. Two, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure first off, if I know that I'm gonna be in any sort of encounter with vampires or any bloodsuckers, I will make sure that I go to a restaurant and just ask for the biggest bottle of garlic that they have and just eat it.
And you know what? I totally would see to a player character do that just for the fun of it.
Two, pretty sure anybody that tried to bite me would complain about brain freeze.
Do vampires even get brain freeze considering how cold they naturally are?
You can always go colder.
That is true.
And even if not, there's still the massive amounts of garlic in my system. The massive amounts of garlic and also all the tart stuff that I eat.
That would be funny. Have a vampire hunter just eat a bunch of garlic before going out to hunt the vampire. So even if the vampire one ups the vampire hunter and bites their neck, and like, oh god, that the garlic settled.
Mm-mm. Oh, or use garlic breath as a breath weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after eating that much garlic, you're definitely guaranteed to get garlic breath anyway.
Yeah. If Dragon Ball could get away with it, so can I.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes, runs away. Upper half hot. I rest my case. It wouldn't scare away vampires. It would scare anyone in a half-mile radius, which includes the vampires, who tend to be in their castle, completely isolated. So it still works.
I mean, yeah, still wins.
Need I remind you
If it works.
That I am the type who, as a negotiating tactic, used a nail bomb in front of a bunch of fae. An iron nail bomb.
Again, if it works, I ain't gonna complain.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And in the Blade movies, you had vampire mace that was basically silver nitrate and garlic.
Oh god, which Blade movie was it? The one with those syringe that could that makes the vampires go boom?
That was in the first one. That was EDTA.
Oh right. I need to rewatch those movies. Wesley Snipes was damn good at them.
It's kind of funny that something that is meant to treat blood clots ends up making their blood overproduce.
I mean, if you could just reverse the flow, then well, we all saw how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. But with getting back on the rails, what do you guys think of what we saw out of Barbarous Tales? I know we skimmed through a large amount of the monster part of it.
Well, of course we would skim one. It's a repetition of what we already have, and going over it would just be a complete another waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I actually do like it that this is effectively Group SNE's first foray into giving us a playable monster races. They're definitely going to add on to it later on, but this is definitely a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this book is really this book's really not nice in the sense of it gives both players and game masters, dungeon masters, whatever you want to call the person that runs the game, like content that both sides can use.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of a time, well, of a lot of RPGs I read, it's a book you can tell early on that this book is intended to be player sided or game master sided. While this one, it's like, oh yeah, you have all of these player races in the beginning, and then towards the back, back, you have a very like large section where it's just monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the very end is some of the new mechanics.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I could understand if they wanted to throw in some new monsters, but please, for the love of God, don't put in the whole bestiary in there. Not when we already have the core rulebooks to play alongside of it anyway.
Mm-hmm. How that being said, my approach is that I prefer having theme when it comes to supplement books. I've never been a fan of, if I'm fine with having books that can favor both the player and the GM, or one or the other. But what I like to see is a consistent theme throughout the book. I think of some of the expansion books from Exalted Second Edition, where with each one of them there was a particular theme that they were building around. For example, Odinel's Codex was very much built around magic items or artifacts or what have you, and the creation of them, as well as their impact within the setting. Barbarous Tales, even if we have a few other non-barbarous monsters, barbarous are what has center stage. Especially compared to all the other entries. And when you have that consistent theme, it makes it easier to reference. If you want an example of what not to do, as much as I keep picking on it, I think of the expansions for the world's most litigious role-playing game, where it's literally all over the place with a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Just throw a bunch of stuff into a book, which I will note is not the standard. The theming approach is the more common approach you're going to see. And even with the books that are named after the Swords of Genesis that we'll end up covering, those are the closest thing to the grab bag that is present here, and even that's a stretch. I'd say the only book that is that kind of grab bag in a sense would probably be Core Rulebook EX, which we will not be covering Core Rulebook EX in this series. Given that a lot of the stuff that's in it is in supplements that we'll already be covering that would be redundant. But since we covered a supplement this week, when we come back here next week, we'll be covering another campaign. And as well as a couple replays. I know I said I wouldn't do replays, but if there's some mechanical input, then that replay is going to be more likely. So next week, we will be covering the Eternal Empire campaign, as well as two side materials that I think are they weren't out at the same time as this, but they were they're thematically relevant, I think. Plus, I didn't want to have these kind of things skimmed, and this was the best place I could put them.
They're like a bunch of siblings.
Yeah. The two replays we're going to be covering, or at least the data material from those replays, is Cardia Carnival and Ashrout's Infinite Ateliers. Cardia Carnival is expanding work skills to include downtime activity, making money when you're not adventuring. And Ashrout's Infinite Ateliers is going to have a bigger emphasis on work skills. which we already sort of saw work skills when we did Alchemist Works. We're just going to see more of it. Eternal Empire is nation building.
Okay.
That's going to be interesting.
It is so amusing that the idea of building your own country in universe, or even doing domain building, is something that I keep seeing certain designers say that nobody wants to do, and yet you look at games like half of the Suikoden series, and that's kind of the point. Eventually, you have your own castle that you manage. Or games like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where managing the order is a big part of it. Am I saying that PCs want to do the whole what's the preferred tax rate for that country? No, but Conan eventually did become a king by his own hand. So why not have PCs able to do that, especially when there's so much unclaimed or lost ground within the world of Sword World?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the advantage is because this is entirely optional. Players and the GMs can just opt out if that's not their thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. Time to build the Confederate of Independent Systems, but in fantasy. You want to build the Free Worlds League. And I do not advise building the Free Worlds League because, remember, the biggest threat to America is another Merrick. Glory to Merrick.
Yeah.
I mean, could say too bad about the House America because they do love their awesomes.
Yeah, it's just they'd probably be a bigger player in the Inner Sphere if they didn't get in their own damn way all the time. Or the fact that they're a parliament that's practically speaking a military dictatorship, but not by choice. But with that said, when we get back next week, we will be covering Eternal Empire, which I remember having a script for that a while back, and I kept putting it off because of various things. So I'll finally be able to go all in on that. So that'll be fun. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk, and may your adventures be grand and your treasures myriad. Stay frosty.
Take care, everyone.
See y'all later.